In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet the hair on this doll. And it's pretty easy. So what we've got here, I want to show you from the top. It does have this very interesting ridged increase and decrease, or increase. And that's one of the things that I'm going to show you. And the other thing that I'm going to show you is how we transition from her bangs to the sides of her hair. So what we've got here is your normal kind of increases, except we're doing a different kind of increase to get that ridge in there. But we're doing a normal, like a bowl shape, until we get to the bottom of the bangs. And then we're going to switch to crocheting in rows and going back and forth to get the length of her hair. And we're going to do a couple of interesting things to try and maintain the same look. One of the things when you're crocheting in rounds, you're always working from the right side of the fabric, and so the look is very consistent. And since we are crocheting through the back loop, we get these little rows left on here from the front loop, just kind of hanging out on the front of the thing. But when we switch down to the row part of the project, it looks different. So because we're going back and forth from crocheting on the front side of the fabric to crocheting on the back side of the fabric. So there's a couple of things that we need to do different in order to keep this ridge going all the way down, and also to keep these horizontal lines looking as consistent as possible. So that's what I'm going to show you in this video. Okay, what I've done here, I've got the start of the top of the head, and I've got these nice spiraling out ridges, which I really like the look of. I think it adds quite a lot to the look of the hair on this project. So I've gone almost all the way around. I've got my stitch marker here showing me where my row starts. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you 2 repeats in there. This is not going to be the exact same pattern as the doll pattern because I'm not going quite as far. I wanted to keep it smaller so it would fit in the lens of the camera more easily. So I'm going to show you how to do the stitches. I just want to make sure you understand that the stitch count is different than what you're going to see in your pattern. So you'll need to follow the actual stitch count in the pattern. So first off, we are doing some half double crochets. You can do this technique with single crochets, half doubles, doubles, triple crochets, but I don't really like to do it with single crochets. To get these ridges, you're going to crochet around the post, and there's not much of a post to a single crochet, but even jumping up just to a half double crochet makes our stitches a little bit taller and gives you a little bit more of a post to work around. So just as a reminder, this post is what we're crocheting around for part of those increases. So first of all, I've got to do some half double crochets until I get back to this post. So you wrap, go in, and then go through all of them. So it's really just like a single crochet, except that you wrap your yarn around your hook first before you go in. Okay, now we're coming to the stitch that this post is coming out of. So I'm going to do a half double crochet front post double crochet increase. So start out, that's actually 2 stitches in one, but it is an increase, so I've called it all that one long mouthful of stuff. So we're going to start out by doing a half double crochet in this stitch, just like we were doing. So I did my half double crochet in that stitch. Now I'm going to do a front post double crochet in the same stitch. So I'm going to go into that half double crochet I just did in the stitch above, the little V above this post. And now I'm going to go into the post. So that's why this is an increase, because we're going twice in the same stitch. And the reason we make it a double crochet is because it pulls the stitch down, and a double crochet is a little bit taller than a half post double crochet. And so by doing half double crochets all the way around and doing a double crochet on these ridges, we keep everything in line. So front post double crochet, you wrap it, and instead of going into the stitch, you go behind that post. grab your yarn and pull it through. Now you've got 3 loops on your hook. Go through 2 and go through the last 2, and that's what gives it that little bit of extra height. So I'm going to show you that again when we get to it over here. So we're good with that, and now you can see my next stitch is here. So I'm going to go back to half double crochets. Ooh, there's a little knot in my yarn. That's interesting. One more half double. Okay, now I'm back to where I was. Just make sure I've got plenty of yarn here. And now I'm going to do the same thing. So here's my post. Here's my stitch right at the top of the post. That's where I'm going to do, first of all, a half double crochet. And now to make this an increase, I'm going to go into that post and do a front post double crochet. Go through 2. All right, and now I just have one more stitch to go to complete my repeat, and that is back to a half double crochet. All right, take my thing out. Don't really need that anymore. So now what I'm going to do is show you how to go from, we're going to make this be her bangs, and we're going to start crocheting just around the back of this wig, what is essentially a wig. So now we're working in rows instead of in rounds. And if all you've ever done is rounds before, the first part of working in rows can feel a little bit weird. So we're going to do 2 chains. These are your turning chains. If you're working with single crochet, you do 1 turning chain. Half double crochet is 2 turning chains. Double crochet is 3 turning chains. Basically, you're just making a group of chains that become the first stitch in the next row. And I'm not doing this raised post on the front edges of her face because I don't like it when you're doing that in rows. It doesn't make a very clean edge, so I'm going to just stop doing that ridge there and we just start doing her hair. So now I've turned it around, and normally we work in the back loop. But now I'm working from the back side of this fabric, so I'm going to work into the front loop so that I will leave that back loop still visible on there, and it'll look more, it'll continue this kind of stripy look that you get from working in the back post. So I don't go in this stitch because that stitch is, these guys are becoming that stitch. So I'm going to go into the next available stitch here. And I'm going into, whoops, I just went into the back loop because I'm so used to doing the back loop. So I'm going to go into this weird hiding loop here. Okay. And I forgot to do half double crochet. So I wrap it, go into that front loop. Oops. And now go through all 3. So that's my first half double crochet on the back side. So now I'm going to do the same thing again. Wrap it, go into that front loop, and it's a different feel, so you might need to coax it in there a little bit with your fingers. Go through my front loop, go through my front loop, and you would actually be counting these stitches if you were working on your pattern. I am not counting them because I'm too lazy to do that. So I've got to go, I went through the back loop on this one now, or the front loop, I'm sorry. Now I need to go through the front loop on this one, and then my next one is my post stitch. So one more front loop. And there we go. And now, instead of doing a front post double crochet, I'm going to do a back post double crochet because the post is on the back of my work. So I'm going to wrap it, go around the back of it, slide into that post, and come out. And then just like before, go through 2, go through 2. So that is going to maintain the look of the post. So what I've got here is I have maintained as best I can the look of the row in here. I wish I didn't have that knot in the thread there. I've maintained the look of the row by going through the front posts and now, through the front loops, and now I'm maintaining that post by going through back post double crochet. So I'm going to do one more repeat in here. So I've done that stitch and I'm going to come into this stitch now. So I'm no longer increasing. The sides of her hair just go down the sides of her face and it's not getting any bigger anymore. So once you move into rows, we're not doing those half double crochet, front post double crochet increases. We're just working around the back post. So I'm just doing more of these stitches just through the front loop. So you can see that. And now we're back to that post. So I'm going to go into the post, pull it through, go through two, go through two. And now I need to do the stitch after the post again, because I'm not increasing here. I'm just doing one stitch in that. And I'm just going to continue around following that pattern. When I get to the end of this section, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to chain two to turn it. And then once I turn it, I'm back to working on the front regular, you know what, I'm going to work my way all the way around. So this is a pretty small piece, so I can do that. So we're going to keep doing this. Let's see, I've got to do one more. Again, you would be counting stitches on yours. I didn't want to try and count stitches and talk at the same time because I can only do one thing at a time. Back post for this stitch. And it's double crochet, so we go through two, and then this is my next stitch. Some more half double crochets. And I can actually feel it with my fingers when I'm getting close to that post. So let's see. I need to do one more stitch. Okay, now we're back to the post, so I'm going to wrap it, go into the back of the post, double crochet. Now I'm back to my front stitches, and this is the next stitch. It can feel really weird to go through those front loops when you're so used to going through the back loops. So just take your time, and it's only for a couple of rows on the doll that you need to do that. All right, so we are getting back. Oh, I shouldn't have done that far. That's okay. I'm going to do one more. We'll get to this post so that it looks like that. All right, so now we're back to where we're going to turn. So I'm not doing posting. I'm just going to do a normal stitch in there. And now we're going to turn it. So chain two, turn it, and now we're working on the front side of the work again. So everything is going to be back to normal. So our chains become this first stitch. So we're going to go into this stitch here, and now we're back to doing back loop. Whoops. Yeah. I'm just going to work my way around till I get to that post, and then I'm going to show you just one more time that front post double crochet. All right, so we just did those through the back loop just like normal, and now we're going to come under this post. Again, we're not going through that, we're not going to do an increase, so I'm not stitching in the top of this stitch, I'm only stitching around that post. So loop it, front post double crochet, and then just keep working my way around, and you'll have a little wig with bangs, although yours will have 2 open increases for the bangs. But again, you'll be following the pattern and counting stitches for that. And just as a reminder, this is what you'll end up with. She's got nice little bangs and a nice blunt cut. The back continues that post down there, and it continues. You can still see the horizontal bars, and if you look from the top of her head, let's see if I can do that, all of those ridges come into a nice point, a nice kind of spiral on the top of her head. Have fun with it!